when Dr. Greer, as I was sitting in his office during one of our mentoring sessions, turned to me and said, I will fully support you by making phone calls and contacting the directors if necessary.
Speaking with Dr. Conley, one of my main mentors in anesthesia, seeing his pure enthusiasm for the field and seeing how it touches so many lives in so many different fields of medicine and how genuinely excited he was about it.
Dr. Ying. And one of my favorite memories with him is going to ARVO, an ophthalmology conference.
Dr. Nazari in the Department of Anesthesia is someone that I was able to work with very closely this year, both doing research as well as doing clinical work. And I think he's someone who really influenced me to be a better researcher and kind of even a better clinician.
Very afraid to go into interventional radiology, a very competitive field because of my step 1 score. But my mentor, Dr. Sabrina Sanchez, said, just go for it. It's what you want to do. And I'm happy I went for it.
Dr. Mark Norris, he's the one who really took me under his wing and really showed me how to challenge myself in aspects that I hadn't previously considered.
They've all been fantastic. So no one person or one time in particular. I just want to thank the entire Department of Otolaryngology and all the faculty.
And he sat me down, looked me in the eye and said, Sang-hee, you're the real deal. You can totally do this. I see a bright future ahead of you in neurology. And that just meant so much to me. And that was the push that I needed to get myself into neurology. And I'm really so grateful that I was able to make that connection.
Dr. Lowe, this happened before I was even in BU med school. It was on our second look day. Going through this process, you will truly change your life and learn to think in a different way, and that you'll learn to prioritize, and that you might miss the small things in other people's lives, but you won't miss the big things, and you'll still be able to do everything.
At a point where I was feeling very down and nothing I did seemed to be going right, Dr. Lerner, who asked me to present his patient to him, I did. It went terribly wrong, but later when he was giving me feedback, instead of pointing out all the things I did wrong, he gave me encouragement, told me I was a natural at it. I knew he wasn't telling the truth, but it was what I needed to hear at the time, and he gave me the push and the encouragement I needed to finish my third year.
One of my mentors here at Boston Medical Center, she's an emergency medicine attending. I remember discussing with her the reasons for why I want to go into emergency medicine, and it was just a perfect moment for both of us to realize that yes, this is the field for me.
It's Dr. Davidson at the West Roxbury VA. And during our feedback session, she mentioned that she saw qualities in me that would make for a fine internal medicine doc. It gave me the confidence in myself that I was lacking and the motivation to keep working hard at what I was doing.
During my interview with Dr. Baladi, he was happy that I got in and that it had been far too long. So I cherish him as a person and having that interview with him.
One of my friends passed away, and it was tough because I was having to work a lot for medical school, and I didn't know if I was taking an appropriate amount of time to grieve and that sort of thing. And I think one of the faculty went above and beyond, took time out of his day. I think he was in the middle of clinic, and sat down to chat with me. And this is of course not related to professional mentorship or anything like that, but it was still helpful to get his advice on how to handle it, especially in the context of having to work a lot for medical school.
He told me that I would be the most wonderful colleague, and he's excited to have me as a colleague in the field of pediatrics, which really sort of struck me that now, we'll always have that relationship as a mentor and mentee, but I'm also stepping out of my role as a student.
The faculty member actually got up on the patient table and had the patient sit at the desk where the physician usually sits. And seeing that kind of change in power just showed me that I chose to train in a place that really puts patients first.
Paige Curran and Dr. Megan Young have been tremendous supports for me throughout my time in medical school.
Dr. Christo at the West Roxbury VA, and he took the time out of his day for about 2 hours to really talk to me about what I wanted to get out of my career and go through all these different options for what I could go into and the pros and cons. And that was really a really wonderful moment.
He was basically just these are people who need a lot of attention, and there aren't a lot of people in this world that are able to give that attention. And so it's just important for us to be there for them, even though it is like a really hard process. I'm taking with me, and I took with me on like rotations after that, and I hope to take with me kind of forever.
Dr. Chris Reardon. And one of these days she brought in individually wrapped fresh baked cookies for everybody on our team to rounds. And she took a moment to stop and say, you know, I know it's been a really tough time, but you're all doing incredibly. And I wanted to take a moment to recognize your work and give us all these cookies. And it was, you know, a small gesture, but it just meant so much to me, probably why I want to now be an ICU doctor. But it just meant a lot to me that even in the midst of a very difficult time that our team leader really cared so much about everybody's well-being.
Dr. Barenbaum, who is a psychiatrist on the consult liaison service here at BMC, said that, you know, when he was a medical student, he always felt that when attendings asked him a lot of questions, he thought they were trying to get him to say the correct answer. But he realized later on that really what they wanted him to say was actually just to be himself. I realized that, you know, our patients and our colleagues, they don't expect us to be perfect, but really just to show them that we're also human, and that, you know, there's stuff that we do know and stuff we don't know, but that we're kind of all in this together, and we're all working together to get patients to where they want to be.
We went to see one of Dr. Lowe's patients. I remember the patient had a murmur, and each student went and got a chance to listen to the murmur, and I was the last student, and I was having a little difficulty hearing the murmur, and I was embarrassed because I didn't want to take up any more of the patient's time or Dr. Lowe's time or my classmates' time. And I remember Dr. Lowe recognizing that without even me saying anything, and sending the other students home and spending extra time with me at the end of the day. He didn't need to do this, but spending time with me at the end of the day, going through the murmur, listening to the murmur with the patients, with the patient agreeing to let us do so, until I was able to finally hear it and you know, really get a sense of what it's supposed to sound like in a real patient who has this symptom. So I think that speaks volumes about Dr. Lowe, about how much he cares about teaching, and it's really a reflection of the passion for teaching that a lot of the faculty at BU have.